Hello, welcome everyone to the Chinese Medicine Podcast live stream. It's Marie Hopkinson here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing amazing. I've started the stream a little bit earlier this evening. It's normally about half an hour later from now. I won't be doing this too long tonight because I'm tired. I've had a really long day and I was nearly not going to do it, and I didn't do it last week, and I'm not going to do it next week because I've got something on. So just trying to fit this in with the busyness of life, and I hope you can hear me properly. I am just going to need to check the stream as I normally do at the start. So I'll wait for some people to jump in, but I am going to answer some questions that people have probably put in through the week or the last 2 weeks. I've got a few questions here. I hope you are doing well. And if you've got a question about Chinese medicine, then you're welcome to put that into the chat. And if I don't answer you tonight, or you're watching this after the stream, then you can, I might answer it another time. Let's have a look. Okay, we've got a little bit of fuzz there. Just going to turn this volume down a bit. Okay. There's a lot of noise on this thing for some reason. I'm not sure why there is that audio noise. Let me turn this off and see if that fixes it. I hope it does. It's not fixing it. Okay. I still apologise for that. I'm not sure what that hissing sound is. Anyway, we're here. You can hear me loud and clear. I'm sure you can. Yeah. Well, I will. If people come into the stream and that's bothering you, let me know. And usually I'll know by once people start jumping in. If they jump back out again, then I know that audio's not great. Anyway, we're going to talk about. Let me just push this right in to make sure it's not that. All right. So I'm just going to run through this question here that I've got, and if you have a question, you're jumping into the stream. Like I said, you can put your question in the comments. Yeah, still doing that sound. I'm not sure what that is. That's a bit annoying. Anyway, so I've got this question about damp heat and the various things that you may or may not be able to do when you've got damp heat. So this is from an older video that I made saying, have I truly got damp heat? And generally when you've got damp and heat together, the heat tends to almost boil the liquid, right? So you've got this dampness is like this turbid liquid, but then the heat sort of like concentrates that. And it's almost like then you're getting sticky fluids. Now, the best way to think about that is in your lungs. So if you've got sticky fluids in your lungs, you're going to cough up yellow, greeny, sticky, thick, hard to get out phlegm. And we don't usually call that damp heat. They often just call that phlegm heat, right? Because that's just how Chinese medicine's always got its own little weird things that it does. It's always got to be a bit strange. Just when you think you understand it, it's a little bit different. But it's the same idea, right? And you can see that phlegm. Now, damp heat, you can't really see that. You can only feel the effects of the damp heat. So dampness has this foggy headedness or this cloudiness. But if it gets into your joints, for instance, like you can have like arthritis-y kinds of pain from damp heat. And it tends, that type of pain, it tends to be flared by heating foods and drinks. So particularly alcohol is one of the things that flares that like a lot. And people who will know if they've had that before, then it's going to flare it. Another sort of food that would easily flare it, not for everyone, is like hot and spicy. Now, the difference between alcohol is it heats you up in a different way. Hot and spicy sometimes heats you up and then allows you to sweat, which cools you down. So that in itself is a better way of treating things than just purely the heating up. So this particular question is about foods and damp and heat. For people who are just jumping in the stream now, welcome. Please feel free to put your questions. And I'm not going to stay on this stream a long time. I wasn't even going to do this stream because I've had a really long day. And I just thought I'll stick to my word and do it because I said I would. And that's why I've jumped on here a bit earlier, because if I left it too late and I didn't start, I'll be simmering down by then. So this person says, Nana Rosa with, that's a YouTube name, says, is it okay to have small amounts of nuts and avocado with damp heat? I've come by some who recommend avoiding them. So the key thing here, and you've already put it in the question, is small amounts, right? Now, for some people, when they have any amount, it becomes a larger amount and they can't moderate that. So if that's you and you find, someone says you could have a small amount and then you have a lot, you just end up having a lot, well, maybe you're better off just not having too much of it, because it's just, you can't moderate it, and you find that really too hard. So just bear that in mind. Yeah. So that's a simple answer, is if it's a small amount, it's probably going to be okay. So then those things are warming now but they're not hot. And they're certainly not as bad as something like alcohol or probably alcohol's the worst that I can think of for this kind of scenario. Now, this is also in cahoots with what else you're having. So if you do have a lot of these, like a lot of overall dampening type of foods, and then you have nuts on top of that, it may make it just tip it over the edge, for instance, for you. Out of all the nuts, the best nuts to have are walnuts. The most dampening kind of nuts, the worst nuts to have, would be peanuts. Now, peanuts are used to moisten dryness in Chinese medicine, but that means they generate more fluid. And in this scenario, you may want to do that later on, but right now when you've got the damp heat, you don't want to do that. You don't want to generate more fluids because you've already got like a lot of fluids building up, and you certainly don't want the greasiness of like the peanuts. So peanuts being the worst and walnuts being the best, well, the others are all kind of in the middle. Now, macadamias would be down the end with the peanuts. Almonds are sort of closer towards right next to the walnuts out of the two best kind of nuts. And these are just generally what nuts are good for you. Now, if you're deciding between a cake, a delicious cake, and a handful of nuts, just random mixed nuts, you're better off having the random mixed nuts than the cake. Like that cake with that sugar is going to cause you much more of a problem than the other stuff. I have a feeling that the sound is an issue for this stream, so I might have to restart it. Just trying to listen to this. Okay. I'm not sure if it is. Anyway. Yep. If I stop this, I might not be able to restart it because I don't know if I have the energy to faff around with all the chords to see what's wrong here. Because I actually don't know. There's no reason why it should be doing that, making that sound, that hissing sound. Yeah, that's very strange. I've been using my gear to do lots of different things this week, but I can't envisage that I've changed the settings that much. Anyway, I've turned the gain down a bit, so I'll speak right close into the microphone. Hopefully that's going to fix it a little bit. Anyway, so that's the first question. And yeah, what else do we have here? Let's have a look. Oh, okay. So yeah, the omega-3 supplements. Yeah, look, I don't think that's an issue with damp heat. That's fine. If you need that as well, that's good to have that. Ultimately, with Chinese medicine diet therapy, we think you should get your nutrition from your food, not from having to take a lot of supplements. But what you're going to find is that the food that we're supposed to get these things from, the nutritional value of those foods, we all know that's kind of gone down as, you know, in our modern world. So, for instance, a fish that should have omega-3s doesn't have as much as it used to have in the past. So supplements can kind of be okay, but omega-3 supplements are not going to cause you more dampness, right? That's not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, you'd have to take a massive amount of it that you didn't need for it to be detrimental to you for something like that to happen. So yeah, okay, all right, good. Right, does anyone have any other questions? Please feel free to put those into the comments. If that noise is annoying you a lot, please let me know, because I'll restart the stream if it is, and we'll see if it fixes it. Cool. All right. So that's the first question. About dampness, about damp heat. All right. I'm not going to be on this stream very long, so if people do have a question, now's the time to ask it. Yeah, I've got another thing that I was thinking about this week, and this was more because I was helping a patient with this, and it's not the first time this has occurred, and it's many, many times. So that I've had this to sort of explain this concept, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to make a video about this. That cleansing your body, doing cleanses, doing purges, what does that do in Chinese medicine? So I'll probably make a longer video about this. But it's just something that we don't see in Chinese medicine that often, cleansing and purging and things like that. Yeah. Right. I'm going to just turn this thing right down, and then listen to it on my other end, and then I'm going to know what level have I got this on. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put what have we got there? I'm just going to put a little video on in the background so that I can test something out. Okay, so I'm so sorry about this. So I just want to make sure the audio's right, otherwise I will restart. Yep, something's not great with this audio thing, so I'm so sorry, everyone. And that's probably why people are jumping in and out, because it just doesn't sound good. Yep. We'll be back.